Victor Burton here on behalf of the Australian Leadership Project. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Tony Webber, the National Leader Water Modelling with Alluvium Consulting, and a renowned scientist in water and land and catchments. So look, I'm really delighted to be joined by Tony. Tony has been interviewed by the Australian Leadership in print, but there's nothing more evocative than looking at and hearing from the real man. Tony, look, tell us, what are your favourite stories of Australian leadership?
I think the one that's most front of my mind is some work that's being done in Queensland Urban Utilities by the CEO, Louise Dudley. One of the things that I've been quite conscious of as my career has been developing is that we need to provide opportunities as leaders for those in our industry who may not have always had the airtime that they need. So Louise has been really quite active in encouraging women in her organisation, especially to take on more senior roles. And it's really quite interesting to see that she's trying to change the gender balance. And to me, that's a really important role of a leader, is to recognise that sometimes people need to have the opportunity there for them. It may not be as obvious to them, and a leader who recognises that and gives people the opportunity to develop into those roles is really important.
Oh, look, thanks for that. Louise Dudley is certainly a very interesting leader and doing very interesting work. So Tony, what do you see as the unique qualities of Australian leadership?
Yeah, it's interesting. I do work all over the world, and the thing that I love about our leaders in Australia is that they're able to engage with people no matter what their backgrounds. I've certainly experienced in places like the UK and India that your position dictates the level of engagement of some leaders, and you're placed in a pigeonhole very, very quickly because of your background, your character, your beliefs. In Australia, we don't seem to care as much about that. I think it still does influence some of our discussions, but we tend to be a lot more egalitarian in how we approach our leadership roles, and leaders in most organisations will spend time getting to know somebody and understand where they come from. And in more successful organisations overseas, I think they do that too. But certainly in some of the more conventional industries, especially in my industry in water, you do tend to see some of the more what would you call them, more archetypal leaders, if you like, the white Anglo-Saxon male who's been in a position for 30 years, of which I'm one. I do see that quite often, and I think it's important that our leaders have got to take on a diversity of views. A leader will be somebody who has a clear direction, but is somebody who can listen to all of those perspectives, I think.
Oh, fantastic, Tony. So Tony, thinking about the people you work with and the people you see, what are Australians looking for from their leaders today?
Look, I think openness, honesty and integrity is really important, and it's something that it's quite easy to undermine that. It's quite easy to keep things to yourself and not give people the reasons for making a decision. And in order to engender optimism and to help people understand and support changes or directions that you want to head in, you really have to bring them along. And the only way to bring them along is to actually engage with them and tell them your story. Tell them why are you making these decisions? Where are you coming from? What are the reasons? So that people can understand. Not everybody might be happy with that, and some people might just want to focus on doing their job. But at the same time, my personal observation of good leaders, and also being in a leadership role myself, I always find it much easier to get the outcomes that I'm trying to achieve if I bring people along on the journey, but also listen to them so that I can change, learn, and reflect on their opinions and help guide the way that I want things to go.
So, Tony, who've been the leaders in your life? Who's inspired you?
Certainly, in my formative years in Brisbane City Council, there was a man by the name of Mark Pascoe, who's now chair of the International Water Centre, but was also chair of the International Water Association and Australian Water Association. And Mark was really, he was subtle. He knew what he wanted, but he was very subtle and would spend the time. I was a junior chemist when I started in council, and he made the time to talk to me about what I was doing, understanding, giving me suggestions, giving me feedback on work that I was doing. And, he was a couple of levels above me. So I was quite impressed at his ability to be able to help me, I suppose, negotiate some of the politics and understand the reasons for it. And also, like, watching the way he climbed the ladder. He always did it, from my perspective, with openness, and he was always very personable, and I always enjoyed my interactions with him in a range of interactions.
And Tony, you're an optimist. What's your case for optimism? What makes you optimistic?
I think the people that I meet is the most important thing for me in being optimistic. I've got some teenage children who are now in or one of them's in university, and I see those younger people who with a lot of ideas, a lot of passion. I suppose was getting a bit concerned several years ago when I wasn't seeing much motivation, but now the younger people coming through tend to be very highly motivated, and they've got a clear idea around what they want, and they're always looking for positive outcomes. But I think also having the mindset that you're open to that positivity is really important. I get accused of sometimes being too optimistic, but I always find it's better to look for the positive and always think about the best solution. You may not get there all the time, but if you're at least open to it, it gives you the space, I suppose, the headspace to be able to accept a solution that might be not quite what you're after, but heading in the same general direction.
Tony, look, absolutely fantastic. Thank you for your time and contributing your wisdom and your insights to the Australian Leadership Project. The water industry and Australia generally is really well served through your wisdom, both in water and in leadership. Thank you very much. If you'd like to read more of our interviews in the Australian Leadership Series, or in fact contribute your own wisdom, either in writing or by video interview, please visit our website, australianleadership.com, and follow the links there, either to fill in the survey with the questions or to make contact with me, Victor Purton, directly. Thanks, have a good day, and be optimistic.